Hello everybody, Calamity here, and I'm still farming 5-3 in Disgaea. Today's video is going to be all about our favorite pharmacist, Baizhu, who's having yet another rerun. I feel like this dude's had a lot of reruns lately, but I might be overthinking it. Regardless, today's video is going to go over everything you need to know about this dude, from his talents, weapons, artifacts. We'll briefly talk about his constellations, team setups, and of course we'll show him in the Spiral Abyss, despite being a support character. That is a lot to go over, so let's go ahead and get started. Baizhu is a Dendro healer and a shielder, all in one package. Very, very good for just about any Dendro team you have built. But let's go ahead and dive into what his talents and his passive talents actually do. Starting with the normal attack talent, honestly, this is just a standard normal attack talent. He is a catalyst user, so all of his attacks will do Dendro damage. He does have like a little charge attack where he does like a little AoE Dendro thing, and then if you do a plunge, he turns into like a Dendro ball and slams the ground. So it's all the same stuff here. There's nothing special about it, so let's move on. Next up is Universal Diagnosis. This is his elemental skill, and I love short descriptions, however, so you should do this for all your characters. He's going to toss out his snake buddy, the Gossamer Sprite, that cruises, their words. It'll attack nearby opponents, dealing Dendro damage after it performs 3 attacks, or if there's no one nearby, it will go straight back to Baizhu and it will heal your entire party. This will include co-op partners as well. You know, they'll all get healed for free when the snake comes back. So there's a little bit of a delay when you use the skill. It's not like an immediate, you press skill, you get healed kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. And we can see you're not doing this for damage, the skill multiplier being very, very low. And then the healing, as always, if you've built any other healer before, they are all scaled off their HP, so that's something we want to build when it comes to looking at his artifacts. And a cooldown of 10 seconds, which is very generous, which means you should be healing all the time, basically, and it's really, really nice. Let's move on to his Elemental Burst. Holistic Revivification. It's a word. So, he's going to enter what's called the Pulsing Clarity state. I don't know why they have to make all these weird names and states and stuff, but it's very straightforward. You're going to create a shield with your burst. It's called the Seamless Shield, and it's a Dendro-based shield, so it has it absorbs Dendro damage with 250% effectiveness, and it will also regenerate the shield every 2.5 seconds, so don't worry if you are fighting against really hard-hitting enemies, especially in like Spiral Abyss. That shield's going to come right back anyway, so it's not a big deal if it breaks. Not only that, the shield also heals only the active character on the field, so just keep that in mind. It's not a team-wide heal like his skill. You already have one. It's also based off Baiju's max HP, just like any other shielder you've built before. Well, most shielders, I should say. Also based off his HP. Also, the snake will be doing a little bit of attacks while the shield is active, dealing Dendro damage. Again, nothing crazy. It's not like, ooh, Baiju's a DPS now. It's nothing really like that. It's a nice little Dendro application, additional Dendro application, is what I should say. It will only do, I should also mention, it will only do these attacks when the shield is broken or when a new one is created. So regardless, it's doing it either every 2.5 seconds or even sooner if the shield breaks sooner. So as you can see in the gameplay, that's why the shots seem to be really slow in slow intervals. It's because that's when it's creating the new shield. So if we take a look at the skill attributes, we can see the shield absorption based off his HP, but you can actually see it, despite being at level 8, this is a pretty low shield. You know, this would be like really, really weak, but that's because, again, we're getting a new one every 2.5 seconds that the burst is active. And then we can see the healing, also really nice. The damage, again, nothing too fancy here. And then the duration of the burst is 14 seconds, cooldown 20, energy cost is 80, which is a big oof. So we want to make sure we are getting some energy recharge on him so that we can cast this burst consistently. Now let's move on to his passive talents, but before I do, talent reference upgrade. Of course, your priority should be his skill because it's a team-wide heal on a 10-second cooldown. That's very good to have, but honestly, both his skill and burst are very important, with his normal attack being the least prioritized talent to level up. You can if you want to. I'm not here to tell you no, but you're really not going to be using too much of his normal attacks, at least for the damage, is what I should say. Maybe for the Dendro application, but definitely not the damage. Moving on to his passive talents. The first one being 5 of Fortunes Forever. This is going to have a different effect depending on how much HP you have. If you have less than 50%, Baiju's healing is basically going to do 20% more healing. And when their HP is above 50%, Baizhu is going to get 25% Dendro damage bonus, which is... Honestly, I wish this would have been more shield strength for his burst instead of Dendro damage. Again, we're not really using Baizhu for damage here. But it's a weird effect, but hey, at least you get more healing when you need it in a pinch. Next up is All Things Are of the Earth. You will increase the damage of basically any Dendro-related reaction. That includes Burning, Bloom, Hyper Bloom, Burgeon, as well as increasing the potency of Aggravate and Spread. So basically, you want to be casting his burst all the time so that you can get the buff from All Things Are of the Earth. And last but not least is Herbal Nourishment. He is still the only character to have a talent like this, and you will heal 2.5% of Baishu's max HP every time you harvest any, basically like a flower or any like herbs in the field, mints, stuff like that. You'll get a free heal. So it's a nice little exploration healing bonus. You don't have to stop to make food or stop to have your healer cast some skill or burst or whatever. You can just use Baizhu or even use his skill. So honestly, I feel like the healing's a little bit redundant here, but hey, more healing. Next up, let's move on to Oathsworn Eye. Now, I forgot to mention this, but I actually am using Sammer's account. She's a friend of the stream or the YouTube channel, because I don't have Baizhu on mine, and usually she has the 5-star weapons for every character because she's a whale, but for Baizhu, she has been very unlucky with his weapon banner. Just tossing that out there. So that's why he has the Oathsworn Eye. This is an okay weapon if you have it. It actually gives, despite giving attack as a subset, it does give him a ton of energy recharge. Basically, he is a support character, so any support weapon in this case works. So things like a Favonius Codex are really good for him, gives him a ton of energy recharge. If you do give him a Favonius Codex, remember you have to build crit rate as well, just so that you can proc this weapon's effect more efficiently and get more energy for your teammates and himself included. Sacrificial Fragments can be okay because it means you get to use your snake twice in a row, which is also a lot of energy for Dendro teammates and stuff, but the Elemental Mastery, not really going to do much. Again, Baizhu isn't really the one that's triggering elemental reactions, I guess depending on what team he's in, but it usually is up to your other characters. Prototype Amber, also never a bad idea because it's HP scaling, so more healing, more shields, which is always great. And it also regenerates HP and energy for Baizhu, so this is a really solid support free-to-play weapon, also craftable. Another craftable weapon you can consider, although this one, I feel like the other options I've already mentioned are better. You can use the Hakushin Ring, but remember this is only for electro-based elemental reactions, so you are limiting yourself to like Quicken, Aggravate, and Hyper Bloom, whereas the other ones you can use it with any team. Throwing out more options for you, and then the last weapon option you have is the ever famous, let's see if she has one. Yeah, the Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers. Again, this is a huge attack boost. Excuse me. This is only for Aggravate or Spread teams. You do not need attack percentage for Hyper Bloom, Burgeon, Nilo Bloom, stuff like that, because that's all based off the one character triggering the reaction's Elemental Mastery and not at their attack. So just to keep that in mind, there are your weapon options for Baizhu. Artifacts! When it comes to artifacts for Baizhu, it's actually really easy to build him. He has plenty of options as well. When it comes to choosing an artifact set, you don't have to do what Sammer did here, although this is also an option. What Sammer did is a 2-piece Vorakash's Glow and a 2-piece Tenacity of the Millith. This is giving Baizhu 40% HP for free from the passive effects of both of these sets. However, there are other options. Let's go ahead and see what you guys did. So yeah, you can give him the Deepwood Memories set, but keep in mind this set doesn't stack. So usually Baizhu isn't the only Dendro character on your team, right? Because his Dendro application's like okay-ish, but there's definitely better characters out there. If you have Nahida, obviously one of the best Dendro players in the game, and you would rather have the Deepwood Memories set on her. But if you're also using other characters like Dendro Traveler, then they can have the Deepwood Memories set. You can also have Kali with the Deepwood Memory set. basically have a lot of different options. This is more for your sub DPS, your Dendro sub DPS character to have the Deep Wood Memories, but if no one has it, then sure. Baizhu can be that guy that has the Deep Wood Memories for you, and it'll be just fine. So the second combination is the one I just showed you, with the 2-piece Tenacity, 2-piece for Cautious Glow. And the last one, if you want to add a little bit more damage, I suppose, the Ocean Hued Clam. For those that don't know what this artifact set does, it's a really long text. Basically, all of your healing gets stored in this little bomb. Once you've reached either a healing threshold or a time duration has passed, the bomb will explode and it can do a bunch of damage. So if you're looking to add a little bit more damage to your team, the Ocean Hued Clam isn't a bad idea either, but most characters just use them for the healing and the shielding. And honestly, Dendro teams, no matter which one you're using, they're all pretty strong. Aggravate, Spread, Hyper Bloom, Virgin, Nilo Bloom, they're all, really, really good. So the damage does seem a bit excessive, which is why it's the least popular recommended set for Baizhu. But regardless, again, all of them are valid options. Just choose whichever you feel like you need the most. Now that you've decided on an artifact set, what subsets are we looking for? And for Baizhu, really, really easy. I love how easy it is to build this guy. You are just looking for HP percentage, energy recharge, and flat HP. That's it. That's all his subsets he needs. We want to definitely get a lot of energy recharge. Again, he has an 80 burst cost. So, we're going to look for, 160 to 180 energy recharge. But if you can get more, without sacrificing HP or anything like that, then, go for it. The other substat that I do recommend is crit rate, but this is only if you are giving him a Favonius Codex. If he is not using that, then you can completely forget about crit rate and you don't need it at all. But let's go ahead and talk about the main stats for the Sands, Goblet, and the Circlet. And again, pretty easy. For the Sands, you want some HP percentage. If you do feel like your energy recharge, though, is lacking, or if you're getting really, really unlucky with those energy recharge rolls and you're just like, oh, I need a lot of energy recharge and I'm just not getting enough, then feel free to get a main stat energy recharge for the Sands. For the Goblet, HP percentage, we do not need Dendro damage bonus here. And for the Circlet, you can either go for HP percentage main stat or healing bonus. And then again, if you're a Favonius Codex user having trouble with crit rate, feel free to go for a main stat crit rate Circlet here in exchange for a little bit of some healing. Do keep in mind this doesn't affect the shield, so HP percentage could be a bit better in this case because it will increase the scaling of the shield and the healing. Alright, let's talk about Constellations, and just like any other 5-star character in the game, you do not need Constellations for him. He is perfectly fine at C0, but it's always fun to just look at what could he have if you do decide to invest in your Baizhu further. So let's start with the C1, which is going to give him an additional charge of his elemental skill. So this is basically like having a free sacrificial fragment on Baizhu, as you can cast that thing for free and then get double healing, double the Dendro particles, and it's really, really good. C2 makes it so that when your active character attacks any opponent, Baizhu will do an off-field attack with them with the snake. This will do a bit of damage based off Baizhu's attack, but don't expect it to be anything crazy, and will also heal your teammates when the snake comes back, so it's additional healing and additional Dendro application. And then, as we know, C3, C5 are increases to burst and skill, which is really good. More healing, more shields, stuff like that. C4 is going to make it so that after your burst is used, everyone in your team gets a free elemental mastery buff of 80, which is a decent amount, right? That'll be great for any Dendro team. And then C6. C6 is basically God mode. It's going to increase the damage of your attacks from your burst based off your HP. So it'll actually start to do a little bit of damage here. But in addition to that, there is a 100% chance of regenerating your seamless shields. Yes, 100% chance. Every time your snake hits something, you get your shield back. And then, as you remember from the talent description, when it breaks or you create a new one, the snake also will attack. So there's this never-ending cycle of you constantly have this shield going back and like being recreated all the time. That's what I mean by basically God mode. You cannot die unless it's like a really, really strong attack, like from a weekly boss or something like that. But most things in this game will not be able to kill you. And even if they do damage you, you have your elemental skill that you can use twice for double heals. So lots and lots of healing going around here. And shields. Next up, let's talk teams for Baizhu. And again, because he is a healer and a shielder, he fits in literally every Dendro team you can put him in. Every single one. This is a Hyper Bloom team that consists of mainly 4-star characters, except Nahida. But Nahida can be replaced with Dendro Traveler or Kali if you don't have Nahida. And if you're familiar with Hyper Bloom, the gameplay is still the same. You're doing the exact same rotation, just adding in Baiju's Burst for the buff and for the shield. And he also, since you have 2 Dendro, you are getting the Sprawling Greenery Dendro Resonance buff, which is more Elemental Mastery. Now, if you wanted to do Birchin, that's a quick change, quick easy change, right? You just remove Kuki Shinobu and then we put in Toma or Dia. It doesn't have to be, you know, one designated pyro person. It can be any pyro person you want. For Birchin, you can even use Amber if you want as well. So this would be a basic example of what a aggravate team would look like. All this does is buff your Raiden Shogun's damage. Again, Raiden Shogun does not have to be the main DPS here, nor does Nahida have to be your main source of Dendro application. You can replace her with Dendro Traveler, and if you don't have Raiden Shogun, then you can use Keqing if you have her. You can also use Sinnoh as well. Both aggravate type characters, and then if you were to do a spread team, then you would also just replace you know, both of these characters with either Alhaitham or Tainari. There you go, there's your spread team. But however, in my opinion, the best team for Baizhu is gonna be, that's right, a Nilo Bloom team. And if you are unfamiliar why Baizhu is the perfect fit for this team, it's because when you're running this Nilo Bloom team, the biggest danger to you is not your enemies, but your own damage. Because Nilo buffs the hell out of her blooms, or out of your blooms. And the thing about bloom damage is that it will damage your opponents, but it will also damage yourself as well. So having a nice little shield that regenerates and having a consistent healing is going to help mitigate a lot of your self-damage. So Nilo Bloom team is going to be fantastic for Baizhu. And of course, I have 2 free slots here because they can be anything you want them to be. You can bring in another Dendro Applier. Again, Nahida, Kali, Dendro Traveler. You can even bring more Hydro application if you feel like your team is lacking it from Nilo, and it's good to go. And with that, we have reached the end of our Baizhu guide. Pretty straightforward this time around. Supports do tend to be the easier characters to build, right? As opposed to DPSs or sub-DPSs who need so much different substats depending on how they work. But with Baizhu, simple. HP percentage, energy recharge, maybe crit rate if you went Favoni's. That's it. Really nice character to build, very easy to build, very new player friendly. If you are lacking, you know, a good healer, a good shielder, then Baizhu is gonna make it so that your deaths will be reduced to almost 100%. Like, you shouldn't be dying with this guy in your party at least, because so much healing, so much shielding, so much safety. And you might be wondering, should I get Baizhu if I have Yao Yao or if I have Kirara? My answer is going to change to nah. Not really, because if you ever seen me play on my account, I don't have Baizhu, and I just use Kirara as my shielder, and she's pretty much, you know, I'm pretty much kept alive most of the time. I run a Hyper Bloom team on my account with Kuki, Kirara, Nahida, and Xingqiu. And you know, I never have any problems with healing or, you know, characters dying too often or anything like that. So he's a nice addition for players lacking healers for their Dendro teams, is what I'll say. That is his niche, because he's not really good to be used in any other teams. Like, you wouldn't use him in, like, I don't know, like a physical DPS team, or like a vaporized team or melt team or something like that. I mean, you can, but he's just not going to be really interacting with the elements on there, and there's going to be a lack of synergy for sure. But he's definitely a Dendro buffer. Don't forget, his more HP he has, the more he buffs basically any Dendro reaction. So he is a limited healer, but he's also a really good healer at what he does. And as you can see in the Spiral Abyss, I am using him in the second half. Honestly, a Hyper Bloom team will work in any half of the Spiral Abyss. Hyper Bloom in general, though, might have a little bit trouble with the dancing robot boss on Chamber 2 because of the constant ice shields that you have to deal with, which can be annoying. That's why I put him on the second half. Honestly, I would just use a Burgeon team for the first half just to make dealing with the robots a little bit easier. As you can see, he performed well. I mean, he's a support, so he's not the one really doing the damage, but he is providing safety, and as you can see, even though I am getting knocked around in some of the fights, I don't know exactly what part you're seeing, but his skill and his burst is more than enough to keep all the characters alive. I never felt like I was in any danger. I also am running 2 healers on this team, though, so we also have Kuki Shinobu's healing, can't forget that. So double healer in Spiral Abyss, and yeah, no one's dying. No one's dying on this team. The only thing that was annoying about the Spiral Abyss is that it is more of a shield breaking check than a DPS check or a survival check or anything like that. It's just break the shields. That's what the Spiral Abyss is. So if you don't have the right elements to break shields, the Spiral Abyss can feel really frustrating and annoying to deal with, especially like the last boss with the Baptist dude who has the 3 different rotating elemental shields. But yeah, going back to Baizhu, if there's anything you feel like I didn't explain well enough, or there's something that I missed, or if you're a fellow Baizhu user and you want to share some advice for the new Baizhu mains out there, or potential Baizhu mains out there, feel free to do so in the comments below. I'll try my best to help you out with all of your questions. But with that being said, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and or subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out a lot. And if you want to see more content like this, just let me know. And with that being said, I'll let the rest of the Spiral Abyss play out if you want to hang around and check it out. Otherwise, see y'all in the next video.